This is the Stabby Road Podcast.
Porn is the canary in the coal mine. When they come for us for any, just pay attention.
Yeah.
Generally, is like we especially for free speech, we are the canary in the coal mine.
Mm,
I think a lot of people don't realize how censored and how ridiculously strict it has become and how much worse it's getting. But yeah, just keep that in your peripheral.
And I'm going to be
Sorry.
reaching out for your
Please
thoughts.
do. I am
that.
an open source. I am happy to talk about it. I never want to like monopolize the conversation, but I think it's an important part of discussing female culture and empowerment as well. And like why do people only ask if this career was empowering for me versus when I was working retail, making less than minimum wage and being yelled at by rich old ladies on the Upper East Side? Like, why is that need to be empowering versus why does this have to be? Maybe it's just a job, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to go off on that tangent. I'm so sorry. I could go forever on that tangent,
No,
but
it's an important conversation to have.
yeah, because it's not always empowering. You know, sometimes it's
Yeah.
just a job, and especially for survival sex work,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just work. And why is it any different than, you know, you're selling your body and like, and a football player with 20 concussions by the time he's 35 isn't, you
Right.
know?
Right.
Yeah. So that's that's
Like
when I
men
could
can
go
sell
on.
their sperm, but we can't sell our bodies. It's
Yeah.
just
Well, there
Yeah.
it is again. It's everywhere. It's
The
every
double standard, you know.
standard, the discrimination. It's absolutely everywhere. And Lindsay, I have to say, because of what you said, you're such you are open. And there are times there's a time and a place for everything in life. I truly believe that. And since you came out and said that, I just want you to know I heard you. And I too am a victim of assault.
You're
for sharing that.
you're both so brave for sharing that, even in a quote safe space. That's not an easy thing to share with anyone. And thank you both for being so brave. I'm sorry I didn't say anything, Lindsay. I was kind of in
Oh.
shock, to be honest. Like I'm in awe of the strength it takes to be that vulnerable.
It's always been the monster in my closet, and I got tired of it.
Valid. You shouldn't have to be ashamed of it,
No,
or
it
you,
doesn't
Jill, because
I didn't do it.
exactly, like
Right.
the shame should all be on the other party. And it's so horrible that I'm glad that you're able to speak it in a way where you're like, no, I'm reclaiming that. I'm not going to be afraid and let it be that monster in my closet anymore. That's amazing.
Yeah, but it was
Lynn,
I shared it just because Jill put it so beautifully about the whole making us be open, and
Mm.
yeah.
And for unfortunately, as we know this as women, it's so easy for men to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So it just to take advantage, we actually have a right to say no. It's our right to say no, and we can be flirty. We can be flirty without being,
we can still say no.
yeah, and
Mhm.
without being fucking taken, because they can
Mhm.
flirt, and we don't take them.
Consent can be revoked at any time.
That's right.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's not, yeah. Anyway,
But I mean, we're like damned if
say
we.
something. I'm so
Thank you, Jill. No, thank you. Thank you for saying that. That was a beautiful acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And God,
I'm
this
sorry.
is an amazing group. No, this is an amazing group of women. And I'm just kind of in awe of the collective energy and passion and beauty of it right now, honestly.
And that is another important subject that needs to be told by women.
Yeah,
absolutely,
100%.
absolutely. It can't be told enough, and it's so interesting because I was having a conversation the other day with my mom and dad. I won't go into the details of it, but too much. But basically it was, this issue about abortion. And
Mm.
my mother and I were giving one point of view, and my father had a different point of view.
Ugh.
That conversation of what it was about, we were just like, you got to be, nothing against my father because he loves women and is very extremely open. It was just a conversation bringing up different points of view. But it's like in that one moment, it was like thinking about the amount, that like young boys and how they just, you're 1 second you're flirting. Mine happened when I was a little bit older, not a young girl. I was a teenager though. And but when you're very young, it's so easy. You're just sitting there flirting, and a boy just it's so over so fast. It's not like
Mm.
right, it can be over very fast for them.
Mm.
And it's like, when a young girl is left pregnant, it's like, that's not, it's very, very, these issues are, they need lots of attention, lots of conversation. We need to, I think, here I am talking and I'm going to say the exact opposite. We need to listen more, as people, be open and listen more and hear their stories and be more involved in our humanity about it all. I've learned this, the connection. I did not understand it when I was young in making movies in horror. I was an actress, and most of my movies that I did were not horror. So I was not thinking about horror versus other genres of filmmaking when I was an actress. I felt very victim to whatever job came my way, right? When you read it,
Yeah.
whatever, you just want to audition and get jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Drama, comedy, horror, whatever. Where's the jobs? But now I'm losing my point because I'm nervous right now talking about all this stuff.
Oh.
But where was I? Where was my brain going? Help me out, girls. I literally lost it. So sorry.
No, that's okay.
That's okay.
I did. I got nervous. I got nervous.
Oh.
It's a lot of heavy stuff talking about sexual assault and abortion and having agency in your own life and your own body, and how as women we often are robbed of that agency. And hopefully as we're having these conversations more freely now, it hopefully that will happen less and less. I know with my child's generation, like I was always very open with him about menstruation and things like that. And he like, it almost doesn't make sense to him that someone would be grossed out by it any more than they would be grossed out by somebody skinning their knee.
Because you were
And
so honest about it.
yeah, and consent is just amongst the majority of his friends to like, it's, yeah, of course, verbal consent. Well, you would not do anything without verbal consent.
That's so
Where
great.
I'm in my late 40s, and verbal consent, I feel like that wasn't a thing.
No.
That was, it was like, oh, that's so awkward. No, it's not awkward.
Right?
It's sexy.
Yes. Talk about it. Yes, talk about what you like
if you
and
do it
don't
right.
like. And getting tested. Exactly. Like, oh, there's so much shame around sex, sexuality, and then unfortunately in a patriarchal society, then women. That's where so much of the shame comes in because we are sexualized against our will so often
Well, we're just so
without our
tempting.
right? Without our consent. But I think that's also why people and men in particular get angry at sex work, because that's us taking it back. Like, I'm not going to let you sexualize me when you want to. I am going to decide when, how that happens, and I'm going to get paid for it. Because until we are not in a patriarchal society, that is kind of just the way it is. And I wish we were as offended by violence as we are by sex as a country.
That is so
110%.
interesting that you put it that way, because I am so offended by all the violence.
Right? Like, how is that not like, oh, we woke up to Another school shooting, just another day in America. But I think I saw a nipple on Instagram. Won't someone think of the children? Like, how? Make it make sense. Like,
It doesn't.
We
it doesn't.
we are very complicated, these beings as humans.
Mhm.
We are quite complicated.
We
You know,
are.
You know what I think it is? And I think it's almost like women, we are creatures of consequence. You know, we are the consequences of what happens afterward. And I think that we are, you go back to the days of the hunters and the gatherers, and as the gatherers and the storytellers, we have had this wisdom of the consequences passed down from one generation of women to the next, to the next, to the next. And I think that that is the interesting insight that we do have, where men don't ever think about the fallout of certain things. Men were always taught not to have emotions, and so they never had an aftermath that they were able to process or even, confirm it existed. Where we have been the ones that have carried through aftermath after aftermath. During COVID, the women were working full time. They were teaching their kids. They were taking care of the home. And women were burning out at record rates in COVID. And it's like because we are always dealing with the consequences, I think that we have an insight and a foresight that needs to be heard and respected more. And we need to have the confidence to tap into that and to say the things that we need to say to help people learn the lessons, like Diana was saying, where you teach the next generation the way it is, and you are honest with that next generation, and things will change.
They
I feel
do.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go on. Sorry,
I
Jane.
know, I was gonna say, I feel like that brings it back to popcorn and how Maggie was having dreams about her childhood because it was ingrained in her, and how her aunt tried to save her, and it all popcorn's a heavier movie than I expected it to be.
Yeah, it is. It's fun, but it is a little bit heavy. Yeah.
We didn't even get into the daddy issues of it all, which is
Yeah.
a good thing. Maybe we're beyond that, but yeah, no, I had a question about actually the supernatural elements of popcorn. It's never really explained. There's some, there's dreams, there's the conversations that she has with her father, and when the aunt goes to the theater to confront the threat, all the letters fly.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in your insight as to what that was about. Was it like her father coming back to help her, to save her, to at least clue her in as to what was happening, or what was that supernatural?
Oh, I think it was all, I don't know. I mean, to be very honest with you, I've always not enjoyed that particular element. I always like a through line in movie making so that everything can be traced back to something. That's just my personal taste.
Yeah.
That I like that there's a sense of reality, like it could happen. It's not so far out there that it's what non-believable. To me, when something is so unbelievable, I'm taken out of the movie experience because then I'm thinking about how far-fetched that is. Instead of being in the film, and staying in it, like as if I'm submerged in a pool of water. That's the experience I want as an audience member. I want to be in the center of the deep end. I don't want to be 1 foot over here, Oh, I'm kind of in it. But so I never liked that the letters flying, because I mean, for me, I think it's the film, all those elements of it are really just Toby. It's just Toby, the character Toby,
Yeah.
fucking with everybody. That's how I always take it. That's how the script read. And that he's, making things appear a certain way when in reality he's just messing with everyone. And that's why I didn't like the letters flying. I thought, well, how could he do that? Like, what kind of projectile? Because I think it's supposed to just be Toby,
Yeah.
and they're just taking it to that little extreme. I'm so sorry I disappointed you. I didn't have a fancy answer.
No, Valid. Like that's one of the reasons my husband doesn't like fantasy. He's like, I hate when the reason is because magic. Or, in a more general sense, if something cool happens in the movie just for
Yeah.
the sake of something cool, because movie.
Yeah.
No, no, elaborate. Yeah, that's a damn good answer, Jill.
It's hilarious because you just got me thinking. And like when you actually look at the movie, like especially under today's lens, where you're like, it's just Toby. When you really think about what Toby did, his grand plan, he had this torturous childhood, but he somehow tracked you down to the school that you were attending, got into your film class, and then like that is some scary ass stalker shit. And it
It's a
actually
long con and then
what
some.
Yes. Yeah.
that makes it more terrifying actually when it's just Toby.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't even like, oh, and this is our new student Toby who just transferred
No,
in. Like
No.
he had been attending that school for years.
Yeah.
and
Dedicated to the con.
he was like, I'm gonna set this up in such a way, and like how it's crazy that your character would become a screenwriter and would be interested in film, especially after what the character's father did. And then Toby is just like, everything is lining up, so I'm just gonna recreate the exact same terrible thing that happened to me and force it onto other people. Like it makes him so much darker and so much scarier
Yep.
now. It's just so funny because I started this conversation and started
That's
thinking
so
about how bad
funny.
it was.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's great. Like I didn't get what I wanted. I'm miserable, and so I want to inflict that on everyone else.
Yeah,
That's heavy.
that's
That's
really
really
heavy.
he and that's real life shit. That's what hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, it's this super fun movie, but it's got these really dark societal elements
Well, that
layered in there.
character, that Toby character, I was sitting with a girl and she started crying. I was at a screening of it in Baltimore and she was crying with the Toby character when he was revealing some stuff. And I asked her afterwards, I'm like, how come I'm so curious. Not how come, like, shame on you, but like, how come?
Yeah.
Wanted to know,
What
like,
touched
what was
you?
so touching and moving. I didn't get it. I didn't see it for me as an audience member. And she talked about the horrificness of his childhood and something she related to, didn't relate to me. She was relating to him and everything that he'd been through,
Yeah.
all of his pain and how it turned him into this grotesque person. But you're right, it is quite horrific when you think all he had to do, stalk her to the hilt.
It it struck me. I was in a car accident in high school and actually I had facial burns from a defective airbag.
Oh, wow.
So like yeah, I totally was like, yeah, no, I'd be pissed too. Like I got it. It really I appreciated that he had a full backstory. I mean, believable maybe is pushing it. Like no one should, just because something bad happened to you doesn't mean you should stalk and murder people.
Right.
But I also was like, I get
Yeah.
it.
Again, complicated characters. Those are real. And I mean, I have to say, Tom's performance at the end there was just, I mean, he sold it.
I know, didn't he, you guys?
Oh
And
God.
he was going
The,
through so much. He died of AIDS.
oh,
He was such I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm assuming he probably knew at that time,
I
oh,
actually read up on it, and he actually told the second director, I can't remember his name, um, 2 weeks into after that director came on, that he had AIDS.
that
oh
he
my
did.
God.
So,
He knew.
Oh my God.
and when I look back on that experience, I especially remember the first time I met him, and now who I am today, would have picked up. I picked up on something going on with him back then,
Yeah.
but I ignored it. I not in a harsh way. I just didn't know what it was. I mean,
Right.
I couldn't have guessed. I couldn't have guessed now because you never know. But I didn't have the maturity at that time in my life to explore, to be more curious about him,
Mm.
to what was going on, because you could see a permeating, or you could feel a sense that something very deep was going on with him at that time, very
Wow.
much more
It's
so than
crazy.
other people.
That time especially, because in that time it was a completely different like disease, like in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know
It,
um
Yeah.
and his performance was so inspired and I dynamic doesn't even begin to get there.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, like we were talking earlier about, as you get older, you're not as attached to your ego. It, facing that he was not going to be giving many more performances
Mm.
freed him
Yes.
up in a way to really just go out there with it. And my favorite part, I think, is when the I want to say it was Joni, when he finds out that Joni has a crush
Yes.
on him.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God,
That's
that
one of my
gutted me.
time for
favorite
this.
parts too.
It guts you. Like
He can't
the
kill her.
he
Yeah.
can't. Oh my
And
God.
he's so free. He's like, wait, I could have a life. And like, that is not something that internal conflict is not something you get in this type of horror movie
Yeah,
normally.
Yep.
that's right. That's right.
Love it.
That's right.
Thank you for, yes, thank you, Diana. That
The
is what,
only
oh,
person I've talked about this movie over the years. A lot of people have asked about it, and you are the only person who has ever brought up that moment. This is the first time, I mean, in a non-relatable way. Like other things are said too that are first, but maybe there have been similar things or in a ballpark. That was like its own solar system.
really?
No,
That surprises me because it's such a beautiful
I know
moment.
it's a small moment, and
Oh.
it's such a small
And then at the end when the cops are interviewing her and
great
Joni's
one.
sobbing
Yeah,
because she loved him.
yeah.
Oh my God.
And he spared her.
Oh,
He spared her because of that, and to see his conflict about it, it was a beautiful moment. And I always forget, in talking about it, I mean, I never forget that moment, but every time I see the film, I'm like, oh, and then I forget to ever relate to anybody how that is, because that's normally not where people go in the conversation of this film.
well, that's a shame because it's such an incredible moment.
Is
you know what, I think
Oh,
it's almost like it's one of those movies that it's a fun popcorn kind of movie, and it's like, it's easy to throw it into the slasher bin and say it's just another one of these slasher films, you know. And I think that that's how people write off horror in general. You know,
yeah.
like the average person is just like, oh, it's a horror movie, like whatever, it's a stupid horror movie. And if you're kind of in that mindset, you're gonna write off those small individual moments that are what makes the film unique or what really is going to connect you to the film. And if you're not open to connecting to the film on that level, you're just gonna miss it.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
Yes.
unfortunately, it's happened too much with horror.
Yeah.
And in addition, if a film transcends a little bit further and they really, really love the film and they're not normally a horror person, they start arguing that it's not a horror film. The number of
Mm.
people that
yes.
will tell me they don't like any horror films, and I go, "You don't like Silence of the Lambs?" They go, "Well, that's not a horror film." And I'm like,
Uh,
he eats people. I'm pretty sure it's a horror
he
movie.
fillets a cop and puts, I'm pretty sure it's a horror
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. If you're not horrified by any of that, maybe
People,
you should talk to someone.
no, people argue that with what Alien too. They're like, well, that's sci-fi. That's not horror. I'm like, oh, is
Sci-fi
it?
horror.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
right?
that's a drama. That's a drama.
Like, I, Yes, Rob, you took the elevated horror, that whole conversation. And it's like, why do we have to justify it? Why can't it just be good?
Yeah.
Well,
You
it's so
know,
funny. I was listening to Ryan Coogler talk about Sinners, and he literally had this moment where he was like, at this point now, after making Sinners, I hate labels and I hate genres
Yeah.
because it has Sinners is so unclassifiable. You
I
know,
love that.
not even it's not a horror movie, but it's a horror, but there are vampires. And like even
Hmm.
like in our own, like when you as soon as you put a monster in a movie, forget it, it's a horror movie.
Mm.
Yeah.
Unless it's really good. And then, then we can kind of push the monster to the side and talk more about the other stuff. And it was
Unless it's a metaphor for something else.
and it's like it's so crazy, but like listening to him say, and for him to finally say, like, these labels and genres are just stupid at this point.
They
Yeah.
become part of gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
This is what boxes do, because
Mhm.
Yep.
it's like that it helps us. It's all part of the same thing, that gatekeeping. This is who you are. This is who it's crazy. It's just
Yep.
it's a it's human beings operate. If you think of like the piano, right? And like what makes sound, right? So the
Hmm.
lower the vibration, the lower the sound, because the vibration's happening slowly. So you get low sound, and then the higher, more vibration you have happening, then the higher the sound. So if human beings are on a piano, when we put each other in boxes, and you're this and you're that, and I think we're operating on the low end of the spiritual scale of where we could be in our
Yeah.
humanity. We could be have a little more energy about it, more higher vibration.
Let loose a little bit. Yeah.
You need more than one note to make a song.
Hmm.
Right? Exactly. And we want life to be nothing but song,
Yeah.
Mm.
full of melody. And of course, it's multifaceted. We have our we just can't. I mean, I love, am I pronouncing his name right? Carl Jung.
Yeah.
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 Carl Jung. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
The philosophy of you have to go to the dark side. You can't even get to the light. There's no way to
Yes.
get to the light without accepting the dark. That's how we come
Exactly.
in. And Lindsay, I love how you said it. I think it's always so perfectly said. The monster, and it really becomes the monster in the closet, and it's so important just to open it up and pull it out and tango with it.
Yes.
you
I
know
love that.
I'm gonna like play that clip on repeat. That is gonna be first thing in the morning. I'm gonna ask myself what my inner witch in the woods
Yes.
do today, and then I'm gonna ask like, okay, monster in the closet, it's time to tango. That's it. That's how I'm gonna start my day from now on, guys. I'm
I
like,
love it. That's so good. Somebody make that a poster and just it's time to tango with the monster. I love it.
yeah, that's a movie
Uh
right there. I'm good.
yeah. I like it. That's a good way to start the day. Yes, making peace with your monster. And like you said, acknowledging the darkness to you can't appreciate the light unless you have the dark. It's the yin and the yang. It's you have to have both.
yes.
All right, I think it might be about time to wrap up, but this I Jill, I mean, I'm not just saying this. Like after our last time that we had you on the show, Rob and Joe and I probably just sat like dumbstruck for like maybe half an hour, just kind of in awe of the vulnerability and the passion and the realness that you bring and like what it brought out of us and what it made us feel. And good Lord, you've done it again. This is
Did nothing. You guys did it. I was piggybacking on everything.
you you're just so raw and vulnerable and honest and genuine, and it brings it out of everyone around you in a way that I don't see often. And it's a privilege.
Oh, you're so
It's
sweet. That's so
it
kind of you to say, but truly, if I have any of that you're saying, I really did. I was truly piggybacking. You guys started all the conversation, and I was listening to Diana and Lindsay, and the fact that they're filmmakers and, you know, doing what I want to say this. Can I be vulnerable then one more time and say,
please.
I really wanted to do that. And I
Yeah.
carry grief. I'm 62. I carry grief that I didn't be in my own boat when I had my own river, that I decided to go off and, you know, gurgle in the water instead, fighting for something that wasn't even mine, some other kind of life, my real inner self, who I was, what I knew. My river I could have directed. When I was on set, I didn't hang out with the actors. I hung out with the cinematographer and the director. That was my interest.
Well, who's to
got
say it's too
interest
late
there.
though? You could
Well,
still.
it's
You have a perspective that so many people don't have. Like we were all talking about women stuff, and you were like, "Hey,
Yeah.
menopause." Like you have a voice and a history and experiences that no one else has. You absolutely could
I
still do
I
that.
so appreciate the encouragement. I don't want to be selfish and make it a Jill moment.
No,
First crew member is right here. Whatever I can do.
And
If you want to
seriously.
write a movie about menopause, Diana and I will fight it out who's going to direct and whatever you need. Like
I will
we
act
will
for free.
we will
first
produce
AD over
we will
here.
produce for you so you
Yeah.
can direct.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I really feel like I could direct because I feel like I know a lot of stuff. I understand the
Yeah.
camera, I understand the actors. There's so many elements I've always gotten to understand all that. But my point is, say I'm in such admiration of you guys and so happy. I have my own carry grief. That's my own thing. But I feel like in owning my own grief about a time past when I didn't listen, didn't give the outside world didn't give me permission. So I was not the kind of girl at that time in my life that gave myself the permission, to do what I knew I could do, right? So that I have my own grief, but I feel strangely in owning that grief, tangoing with my monster, that it is in my tangoing, I am able to have such joy for women like you who are doing it. And maybe I will do it one day. I've got a lot of stuff going on. Maybe I will do it. Maybe that day will be sooner than later. But now, in this moment and in a longer collective moment, it's so wonderful to meet people, women who are doing it and who are paving the way. So there won't be more, because I'm older, I get to say this, more Jills who didn't do it, who didn't listen to their voice. And so I thank you for paving that way. I'm so grateful.
we're grateful to you.
Yeah. I mean, you walked so we could run, truly, your generation of all that generation who maybe like looks back and thinks I wish I had, but like even just saying that out loud is powerful. Like owning that, like you said, is powerful, and that inspires other people to be like, well, I'm gonna do it then. That vulnerability, that honesty is what paves the way for other women to have the strength and the support to do it for themselves.
Yeah, and you guys did. It's amazing. And I don't know your films, but I will soon. I will very, very, very soon, and I can't wait. And I'm so sorry. I maybe, probably, likely would have in prep of this been more, but if I'm against a white wall right now, I just moved into a new place and the whole time I've had somebody working here right next to us unpacking boxes.
Oh,
So I have been just like this over my head with moving, trying, deciding, buying, renting. Am I going to live in this city? Am I going to live in that city? And then 10 days ago, I pulled the trigger on all that. So
oh wow, that's stressful. No, thank you for still
very
doing.
hectic.
Wow.
Congratulations, and
Yeah.
yeah, and good luck on getting to the place of feeling level again. And
Yes. Well, you guys might be interested to know that I came back to LA.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Or because I've got some things I'm involved in,
uh,
right? Developing. And I decided I needed to be here in LA. For a long time, I I left, I amputated my career to be a wife and a mother. And I don't like believing in regretting, but if I did believe in regret, I would have regret.
hmm.
Which means I'm struggling with not having regret. So happy what I've learned is that I didn't need to amputate, right? I didn't need to cut off one thing to have another. So
Right.
that's another life lesson I had to learn. But and
Think
then
in awe of you because I'm actually going through a transition myself. I left my day job of 13 years
Oh
um
wow.
to pursue my passions and to be more involved in production work and get back to movie making. I've been running a film festival for the last 4 years. Um
that's,
so seeing you do it at the same time as me gives me like a lot of hope and confidence. So
oh well, we have to stick together because really that support system, knowing, that others are doing it. I mean, people think of me only as an actress, and I've never just been that. Way back then, I was never just that.
no such thing as
Uh,
just an actress.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, maybe for some people, I don't think there is. I think some actors make the best directors. And but it's like every now and then got my chatter monsters, the baby monsters, born out of the other stuff that want to come out and wreak some havoc and mess everything up and going on here.
And,
And,
and
you're 62, but it's like how wonderful to break the boundaries. Maybe I didn't back then, but now I not only, if I have any success or even a smidgen of it, is not just breaking any boundary with women, but to reinvent myself in my
Mm.
60s.
Yes.
and that is success in and of itself.
Yes.
To your passion, to owe to that little girl that wanted something and to give her what she wanted and what she needed
Oh,
is success.
can you tell us any little hints about the projects you have,
I
possibly?
can I can for one or two. One I told you about last year, which is my book, which goes
Hmm.
so on, but I haven't written a word because I've been so busy and so immersed in other things. No, I've written a lot of the book, but not since we've spoken, I don't think.
Okay.
But I have a book I'm writing called The Skin I Live In. It's a journey of self-worth. It's a memoir. And it is a journey of self-worth, but it does go into so many of these issues that we've spoken about today. And I've been so shy in my book. Lindsay,
Oh.
I think you changed this for me today. I've been
Oh.
so shy to speak to, I thought in the memoir, I'll leave out the assault. And then I go, well, how can I write a book about this and like leave that out? I'm just so terrified of what other people will think, right? So terrified. People have a vision. It's like I would hide this if I could. I think I'm so open. I talk about it, but then I find that, well, I'm a hypocrite. I'm not. Then I cherry
Hmm.
pick which things to be open about. So it's a journey. It's a journey. So one is that. One, I think I've also spoken about a musical on a young girl named Spirit, and she's a teenage suicide person, and it's a story of a girl who wants to be dead, and she meets a dead boy who wants to be alive. That's my
Wow.
liner. That's the one. It's a musical.
Oh.
And then one I'm not allowed to talk about, but it is something relating to a past film I did, but I'm not allowed to talk about that. And
Okay.
it is a past popular film. And I'm trying to think. I've got a few things happening. I've got so much going on right.
A lot.
Recording. I also am here because in the film I did last year, out of first starring role in 29 years, it's a Christmas comedy with a dark twist. It has this horror twist in it.
Ooh.
And they are using a song that I previously recorded in the film. It's at the
Wow.
Oh my God.
the film. So I thought, you know what? I have to have neck surgery. No one knows that. I'm going to Denver tomorrow.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
but I'm not having the surgery tomorrow. I just have I'm meeting with a potential surgeon tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
But there's a 1% chance of total vocal paralysis from the surgery. So I'm like, you know what? I better sing again. I better get
Oh.
something down. Because even if it doesn't do vocal paralysis, it has a much higher rate of really messing with your vocal cords. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to sing again. So I decided with this film coming out, being that I already have a song in it, I'm just going to complete that
Oh.
holiday album. So I'm recording that in May and June, and
Oh.
just doing a couple of things like that. Those are some of the projects, but mostly I really enjoy the development and of the story, writing of the story of these projects. Really enjoying that. And so that's why I decided to move to LA.
That's
I was
so exciting.
closer, with
Yeah.
mentors like you all,
Oh, that's so exciting.
who are helping me have courage.
Oh. And Lynn,
We're here for you whenever you need it.
absolutely. We will
You'll
all
have
we
to remember, I think that sums it up perfectly. Number one, cherish your voice and tell your story.
Mm.
That's what I'm walking away from this with.
yeah.
Yeah.
Lindsay, Diana, anything coming up that you want to direct people to?
I can talk about. I just this past weekend premiered my new film, The Rewind, and we
Congrats.
won an Outstanding Achievement Award. So
Woo!
it'll be
I
in
was
the
there. It was amazing.
it'll be in the festival circuit for probably the next year, and we are working on pitching a feature and finding producing partners for that. So hopefully, thank
Congratulations.
you. Hopefully next year we will be making the feature.
Awesome. Congrats.
Yes, wonderful.
Yay.
And I have two short film ideas that I am 90% of way through the script. I actually realized that it was missing a fair amount of my voice, so I'm going back to rewrite it and add some more of my monster's rage into the story.
Nice.
And we are also in pre-production on our next feature. Um,
Yeah.
so we are, very early on looking on our, working on our lookbooks and kind of getting the second draft of the script down. So we're hoping that next year we'll start shopping it around.
Awesome. That is so exciting. I don't have a whole lot going on right now. I'm writing a few things. My husband and I are outlining our first full-length parody. Horror adult parodies have kind of become our niche. Who knew? We we did a Terrifier parody just for us, and people loved it, so we're gonna do more. Um, but there is a director who I'm hoping to work with again. He actually we did a scene in Realm of Satan. It was a documentary he did that actually ended up at Sundance.
Wow.
So that's crazy. And then had its New York premiere at MoMA, which was really cool. So hoping to work with him again this year. Um, but yeah, what an exciting time for all of us. It sounds like there's just so much potential, and let's keep supporting other women in horror and just other women creatives in general. Like seek them out, go on Instagram, do some searches, like we're everywhere. Um, so wow. Sorry, I'm still just kind of like flabbergasted. I'm like been fighting back tears the last like few minutes. This is an amazing couple hours. Thank you everybody so much. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Jill, for coming back. Um,
Thank you
we'll
for
definitely
bringing us all together.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much.
It's been so
thank you to
wonderful
Rob.
talking to Jill and Sonia and Lindsay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been absolutely wonderful and inspiring.
Yeah.
And yes, very much so. Agreed. But that'll be it for the Stabby Road podcast today. Hopefully we can do something like this again, maybe sub in different people. I think more of this is really important, and I would love to do it again. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of another very, very special duo episode of the Stabby Road podcast. A huge thank you to our incredible guests. Please go find them everywhere on social media. Look them up on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you can find them. We had the absolutely incredible Jill Schoelen back again. Thank you, Jill, for coming back. We had incredible director and actor Diana Porter, and we had just the lovely Lindsay Serrano, producer, director, other half of Mass Graves. What an incredible experience. Thank you to everyone for listening. I hope you got as much out of it, half as much out of it as we did. Please make sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky. If you don't follow us on YouTube, give us a follow, like, and subscribe, all that good stuff, because we have a lot more coming your way. Thank you for listening.
Stabby Road Podcast was created by Joe Senna, hosted by Rob Graydon, Sonia Harcourt, and Joe Senna. Recording technicians Josh Graydon and Eric Todd. The Stabby Road Podcast is a production of Fourth Castle. All rights reserved. See you next week.